The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. We are coming to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. This is the home for Autism Live. It is also the home for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. We're so thrilled to be here with you on this day before Thanksgiving, and there is so much to be grateful for this morning, not the least of which is the fact that in just a few minutes, we have Dr. Doreen Grandpichet here with us live to answer your questions. How about that for something to be grateful for? So we're going to get pretty much right to it. Traven, our fabulous Traven, one of the many things that I am grateful for, like right at the top of the list is Traven. He's going to start to show you some of the different ways that you can connect with us here, ways that you can have your thoughts, your feelings, your questions, your concerns voiced. Please know that you can connect with us any of the ways that he's showing. I do like to remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. When you go there, there's a lot of different things that you can do. The toy guide is at the top of the page. It's a little icon. If you click on it, you'll be able to look at all of the toys that we have recommended in this year's Autism Live 2019 Toy and Gift Guide. There are different sections for different developmental stages, and within each section there are different gifts. There's a sensory gift, there's a parent award winner. You can pick and choose what appeals to you, and if you decide that you want to purchase it, we've made it really easy for you this year. Just hover your mouse over the name of the toy, click it, and you're taken right to a place where you can purchase the toy. I want to be clear that we do not make any money from that. We are recommending these toys because we believe that they are super awesome for our kiddos. We only did that because you guys asked for it. There is no affiliate program. That is just a gift to you so that you can purchase things easily. So do check out the toy guide. At the bottom of the page, however, of autism-live.com, you'll see that there is a chat button. If you click on the chat button, it opens up a box. You just type and hit enter. It shows up here on our screens in a little less than 2 minutes. So write in early and often. You know how they say that about voting, early and often, right? So that we have an opportunity to answer your questions. But we'll also be checking in on YouTube and Facebook to see what you guys have to say, and we have some starter questions to begin with. So my friends, we don't want to waste any more time. It is time for Ask Dr. Doreen.
Dr. Doreen Grandpichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grandpichet.
Dr. Grandpichet.
Dr. Doreen Grandpichet.
Dr. Doreen Grandpichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Good morning and welcome to Ask Dr. Doreen and welcome to Dr. Doreen Grandpichet.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm grateful today because it's the week where we have to get our grateful on. We should every day.
Absolutely.
And I mentioned that Traven's at the top of my list to be grateful for, as are you. I'm going to try not to get emotional and cry. But always grateful for you. For people who haven't seen the show before, welcome. This is Dr. Doreen Grandpichet, and she is the preeminent expert in the field of autism in our time. She donates this hour to be with us to answer your questions, which is a wonderful gift to all of us, something we should all be grateful for. You should know that she's been working in this field for, like I always want to mumble it. I don't know why,
I love it. I'm proud of it.
You love it?
Oh, I do love it, absolutely. So it'd be 42 years.
Which, you would never know that to look at her, right? Don't you now want to know what her face cream is? We all do. But in any case, she's been working in this field for that long with individuals on the autism spectrum and their families, from very young babies up through senior citizens. I don't believe that there's anybody more qualified to answer your questions. However, we have to give the disclaimer that in this format, she can't answer anything individually specific about anyone.
Right.
No expert could. It would be a disservice in this format to do that. So write in as much as you can. Utilize this time to pick her brain for all the wonderful things that she knows. And what you'll find is she'll give you some really insightful things to go back and look at yourself, or to ask the expert that has eyes on the situation.
Absolutely.
And people write in how much this show has meant to them. In fact,
That's wonderful.
we're gonna start with somebody else who's also grateful for you.
That's wonderful. But can I first just quickly
Yes.
say that I want to also express that, Trayvon, thank you very much. We are very grateful for you. You've been doing a fantastic job for us on this show.
Yes.
And Shannon, I love you. You are one of
Love you
my
back.
favorite people in the entire world. And I am so thankful to you because not only do I love this show and what I do together with you, but just for the person that you are, because you remind me every day of all the good things that we can keep doing. And
Well,
that is just wonderful.
Thank you.
So this is wonderful.
For people who do watch the show on a regular basis, then you know that my son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. And for everybody who has been, and we like to do the show for the larger autism community, people on the spectrum, of course, themselves, but also everyone who loves them. And for anybody who's been in the position where your child or teenager gets diagnosed with autism, it's one of those things where you feel like you're in quicksand.
Yeah.
On that day, you don't know where you're going, what you're going to do, or how you're going to do it. And it takes people a different amount of time to figure out what to do.
Yep.
But I can tell you that on the day that I heard about this woman and what she was doing at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders was the day that our world, it was like we were in this cage and somebody opened it up and
Thank
we got
God,
to see
thank
the
God.
horizon. So I'm always going to be grateful
Thank
for you.
you. I love you.
And I have my wonderful kid now because of that. So it's personal with me.
Thank you very much.
It is with
But
all of us,
and
right?
let me tell you, and it's also personal with me in
Yeah.
the sense that with the kids, like I don't, this past weekend, I'll tell our viewers as well, I had the opportunity to go spend a few hours with one of our recovered adults, who's now 28. And I was just going back and forth and interviewing him for the film that we're doing. And let me tell you, it's such a blessing for me as well. Like, I honestly just cannot believe that this is the same little guy, right? And the genius that he is contributing to the world, he's just an incredibly intelligent human being, and what he is doing is beyond belief. Like, the intelligence and what he's contributing is incredible. He's such a brain. He's such a wonderful human being. And I just came back from that, and the entire way back I was talking to my husband and saying, like, oh my God, like, it was having a conversation with, like, Stephen Hawking or something. Like, he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, and the way he looks at life and the world is just incredible. And he doesn't even see how amazing he is. And so, like,
because he's just living his full life.
yes, he's just living his life, exactly, his full life. And so just, just being part of this is such a incredible blessing for me. It's just being part of this. How I ended up being part of this incredible thing that we do is just, I'm so grateful.
Well, we are
Truthfully.
grateful for you. And when I think about that young man's mother and what she was told on the day that he was diagnosed,
Yeah.
which, like many of us, she was told to let go of expectation,
Yeah.
to not plan on or count on anything,
Right.
that very likely her child would not be capable of anything.
Right.
And he had he's getting his PhD, but is it his first PhD or the second one? He was sitting for the dissertation.
Yeah, right now that's what he's doing. He's in robotics,
Yeah.
which is like amazing.
And he's an international speaker on that
Oh,
subject.
he's an international
Brilliant.
speaker, and he's has so many offers right now that he just doesn't even know. And I said, "What do you want to do?" Because he has so many requests for working in the world of like cybersecurity and all of these things, which he's working on right now. But you know what he wants to do? He wants to make robots that will clean the oceans.
Thank goodness.
That's who he is. He's
Right.
he loves nature, and he loves going out there, and he just appreciates the world. He took me around and gave me like a just tour of his campus, and like the way that he sees the universe is just incredible to me. Like everything, he just points out every detail in nature, and he tells you the history of what's going on around us. It was incredible. It was like having a tour guide of life. It was amazing.
And I just want to point out that for his mom, who was also in that cage like me and was told to, you know, let go of expectation, what I would like for us to start thinking is the different version of letting go. Let's let go of expectation and see all the things that are possible.
Absolutely.
And when you get hooked up to the right services, everything is possible.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Have you seen that now autism, instead of the puzzle piece, has adopted the infinity symbol as the symbol, the official symbol of autism?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Which we were doing years ago.
Yes,
we were wearing the infinity ribbons and saying, with ABA, the possibilities are
endless.
infinite.
So who did that? Was it the Autism Society or Autism Speaks, or?
Not Autism Speaks, but I think a bunch of autism organizations got together and said, we don't want to be defined by a puzzle piece anymore. And what they chose was the infinity symbol. And I was like, well, we were ahead of our time here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Back to the infinity ribbons. Okay, but you guys want to have your questions answered. So let's start with this first one. Dr. Doreen, this Thanksgiving, I want to thank you for all that you do. I started watching your show and I knew I had found the woman who could help my son. It took me a while to start at CARD. It wasn't easy, but families should know it's worth the wait. Every day I am seeing my angel come back to me. He loves his center, and the young people who work with him are like part of his family now. We cannot thank you enough for making a place where we can have such hope. May God bless you and keep you. My question, how can we help our team?
Yeah.
What can we do to show them how much we appreciate the work we do?
Thank you
it's the
so
time
much.
of year when you want to give back and show gratitude. And I have ideas about that, but what do you think? What would
honestly, I first of all, I just want to say thank you very much. It is this type of letter and this type of email that keeps us ticking in every way. When we know that we are able to help a family or a child, it motivates all of us so significantly, I can't even begin to tell you, and it changes our direction, to be honest with you. Part of the, like every day that I come to work, no matter how much stress I have, I promise you, this is the absolute truth, it could be the worst day from a business or operational perspective, and I will go in to do an intake, or I'll go in to give advice on a child who's plateaued or something like that, and I don't even know how it happens, but the amount of energy that I get from that is tremendous. Last week, as you know, we did a call with like 350, 400 of our parents, and I walked away from that knowing exactly what I want to do. I walked away thinking, this is all I want to do. I just want to talk to parents all day long. Like, I just want to explain things to them, help them understand, and so on. So thank you very much. You should know that, you know, part of the reason that sometimes people tell us that we are growing too fast, and they tell us that we are, you know, short-staffed, which we know we are. And this is the reason we are short-staffed, because how do I as a clinician, and how do all of our clinicians say no to the next child who's waiting on our wait list? And I have to tell you, we have easily, we have about, right now our status is 1,100 children trying to come in every month. And we are at a point where we're trying to do what we call a capacity model in all of our sites. So we're trying to reduce the burden on all of our supervisors, because they're telling us that they're overwhelmed. And by doing that, we're going to have roughly 70% of our sites will hit capacity. And we cannot hire BCBAs and behavior techs fast enough. So one way that you could help us is to help us find staff. That's a big, big help to the organization and to others, other families, because if we get behavior technicians who are just good human beings, we can train them. And once they're trained, they're good therapists, and then we can help more families. And the other way that you can help as an active family is to work with your operations manager or your administrative coordinator, your AC, to make sure that your child your availability is enough so that your child is receiving the hours we've requested. It's so important for our kids. Shannon, I constantly talk about this, that we request hours, and I'm proud of our supervisors. They request what they think is ethically appropriate for each child. And then we're not able to provide those hours, and it just becomes such an ethical dilemma, because on the one hand, you don't want to recommend a series of hours and go through the fight of getting that funding and then not provide it, right? And then from the payer's perspective, it's like, why did you even ask for these hours if you can't provide it? So a lot of that has to do with just matching up the availability of our therapists with our families. And so if you could please make your child more available to us we're open 8 to 8 and weekends, so we can't do any more than that. We just really would like to have our kids kind of match up with our therapists. So just sit with your OM, please, and your AC, and try to make sure your child is scheduled for maximum hours. And then we, try to deal with cancellations on top of that. But if you can help us with that, that is a wonderful thing. For your therapists, I honestly think the way that, your email touches me very deeply, just let them know. Just let them know that you appreciate them. And that's all. It really is motivating for therapists to hear things like, I am seeing my angel come back to me. That's all they need to know.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we all enjoyed getting that letter, and one of the things that we encourage people to do, we have what we call a thankathon.
Yes.
And whenever you have the opportunity to thank somebody for something that they're doing, we have found that that's a really effective, that's the thing that really reinforces therapist behavior, is when parents thank them. So and it could be for everybody on your team or
Right.
for one person on your team. And if you send it to me, I'll make sure that they get all kinds of kudos for it. Or you could send it to your supervisor. They'll make sure that they have kudos for it as well. And that sometimes, they get to be the therapist of the month. And
Absolutely,
that's a very big
absolutely
deal.
right.
And by the way, that's a great thing to do for your teachers too. Everybody at this time of year goes, I don't know what to do for a teacher gift for my kiddo. And somebody gave me this trick. I did not come up with it, but it's the best thing ever, is that you write a letter saying, my child was in this person's class and they did such a great job. And you give the letter to them, but you tell them that you're giving a copy to the principal as well and asking for the principal to put it in their permanent file. Oh my gosh, it gets around among the teachers that you do that, and everybody that wants that kind of a thing wants
That's
your
a
child
great
in the
idea.
classroom.
That
and
is such a good
everybody's
idea.
very reinforced by it, and it just makes things better for your child the next semester
That's
or the
right.
next year.
That's right.
Saying thank you is a very good thing to do on a regular basis. Okay, so moving on. Oh, hey, one other thing that I wanted to say about the availability. We realized recently that parents, when you say make yourself more available, that's a little fuzzy. And so we started giving people an equation that if you are one of those lucky families that you have an authorization for 40 hours and you really want to go for that 40-hour program like my son had, right? Which is a great gift that you give to your child and to your family and to yourself to be able to do that. You can't just open up 40 hours of availability. A lot of families go, all right, well, I'll make him available or her available for 40 hours.
Right.
That doesn't work.
That's not it, yeah.
If you want to go for a 40-hour program, I always tell families you've got to make yourself completely available and say fit in when you can, and then we'll plan the rest of our lives around when you can't fit us in.
Right.
If you're doing a 30-hour program, you should make yourself available for 50 hours. If you're trying to do a 20-hour program, you should make yourself available for 40 hours so that they can fit the puzzle pieces in.
I mean, honestly, the best way to do this, Shannon, is just go sit with the
That's
AC.
true.
Just sit down with the coordinator or the OM and say, let's get my hours in.
Yeah.
And they will then tell you the availability of all the therapists, and they'll plug it with you. They'll look and say like, oh, okay, you have Saturday mornings? Well, these are the therapists we have for Saturday morning. And let's make it happen. Like, let's make these things, and honestly, having therapy with a therapist who's new to your child's team is way more beneficial than not having therapy. A lot of parents tend to feel like, oh, I have 3 or 4 therapists and I don't want any more. It is good for your child to have 10 therapists, because when your child works with 5 or 10 other people, they generalize automatically so that when they're out in the community or at school, they're now able to interact with children, with people of all different types, like people who are rewarding, people who are loud, people who are soft-spoken, people who are shy, whatever it is. And they will now learn to interact socially better. So please don't worry about the number of therapists on your team increasing. The more, the better.
And you know, I'm going to say this because I got permission that I could, as long as I don't say the person's name. One of our viewers, who is a mom who at a card office, her child is being treated at card. She recently said to me, Shannon, I think I want to be a card therapist. I want to take the classes. I want to apply. I want to do all this. And she went through all of the classes and got to the field evaluation. And she said, I can't do this. This is too hard.
Really?
This is really hard. I'm so grateful that I learned all of this so that I can help my child. But she said to me, I now have an appreciation. When they would send people and they were brand new, and I would think, oh, these people must not know much. And she said, please tell everybody, these people, this is crazy hard. And if they made it through the field eval, then these are people who are ready to work with our kids. This is not an easy job. And it's not an easy thing to make it through all the things that you have to do. They are so much more trained than parents can appreciate. And I said to her, I said, can I just share that much? Because parents don't realize how trained those, I call them the newbies, the new people on your team, and they think, well, I don't want the newbie. My kid is not a petri dish. And I always say, no, you're missing out. These are really good people.
Yeah.
Someday they become the rock stars.
That's right.
And you know, your child's success depends on having some of these new people, because as I always say to you, you're not getting your child ready to work with that therapist who already has it figured out with your kid. You're getting your child ready to be in the world.
That's right.
And that newbie therapist is so much more trained than any substitute teacher or any teacher that you're ever going to get. Take advantage of them.
Absolutely right.
All right.
Absolutely right.
All right. I want to take a break, and then we're going to come back. A really difficult question by a mom who's a little bit overwhelmed. So stick with us. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, I'm Candace Cameron Bray.
Tom Bergeron.
You're watching Autism Live.
And you're watching Autism Live.
And you're watching Autism Live.
You're watching Autism Live.
Do you provide care services to someone with autism? Recently, more and more children are being diagnosed with the condition and getting the support they need as awareness grows. But what happens to these children as they grow up? It's estimated that over 500,000 youth with autism will turn 18 in the next decade, and they'll be faced with a very difficult reality. As children with autism grow up, their services start to disappear or become very difficult to access. Things like medical care, mental health counseling, vocational training, and more. All services that are still desperately needed. The loss of support that youth with autism face as they grow up is so severe that it's referred to in the autism community as falling off a cliff. Adults with autism need the same level of support they had as children to avoid falling off the services cliff. Introducing Skills Living, the web-based software designed specifically to help transitioning youth and adults with autism so they can avoid the cliff and instead fly to success. With Skills Living, help your learner with autism develop the skills they need in all the critical areas of adult life, including self-control, planning, and problem-solving, effective communication, performing life skill tasks for independent living, acquiring and maintaining employment or other meaningful activities, developing and maintaining social skills and relationships, accessing transportation and public services, and being safe. Skills Living includes a comprehensive assessment, a data collection mobile app, behavior intervention plan builder, and automatic progress reporting. It also provides a complete curriculum addressing 16 key areas spanning the entire range of functioning adulthood. Skills Living is easy to use and can be implemented by schools, parents, and autism service providers. Call or click today for your free demo and see how Skills Living can help your learner with autism avoid the cliff and instead reach their fullest potential. Skills Living. Wish, learn, become.
Hi guys, welcome back to Smarty. This month, we're going to be making a placemat prompter. As we work on this activity, you'll notice that these icons will pop up. These tell you important information about what skills we're using to create the craft and how to access these lessons in the Skills program. Skills is the ABA-based online tool that helps parents educate their children that are on the autism spectrum. And if you are a Skills user, this will help you get the most out of this educational experience. Well, let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are the template from our Facebook page at facebook.com/autism-live and your dishware. This activity is going to help your child be able to set the table on their own. The way we do that is by using this prompt. This template acts as a placemat for the table. So it has all the prompts as to where all the dishes and utensils need to go on the table. And as your child gets better in remembering where everything goes, you can remove prompts to make it more challenging for them. And lo and behold, as time goes on, they'll be able to do it independently without any prompts. Well, I hope you enjoy this really super quick and helpful activity. Well, until next time, guys, craft on! To find more about Skills and to access all of the lessons you saw in today's Smarty, visit skillsforautism.com and click on the parent icon. Skills, the online autism solution.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're here with Dr. Doreen Grant-Pichet for a segment that we call Ask Dr. Doreen. She's answering your questions in real time. I'm going to get to some of the questions that have come in on Facebook and YouTube, but I wanted to make sure we got to this one because sometimes the holidays are rough. And this is a rough journey anyway, but this mom's got extra.
Yeah.
She says, help, I have 3 on the spectrum, all getting therapy, but I don't know how long I can do this. They say if you are at the end of your rope to make knots. I have made a lot of knots. I have not wanted to face it, but I think I may need to place my oldest. He is getting big. He hits the others. I feel like I have failed. Am I a horrible mother? I guess I just need someone to tell me it will all be okay and that placing a child is not abandoning them. And we get this a lot from parents.
Oh my gosh. So first of all, let's just give you a big hug.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I can't imagine what you're dealing with. May God give you more strength because it is a very special person that gets this level to deal with. So please know that you are a wonderful mother. This has nothing at all to do with your mothering and your parenting skill. One child on the spectrum is overwhelming, as I'm sure many of our viewers will agree. Having 3 on the spectrum is just incredible. And the fact that all 3 of them are getting therapy alone shows what an incredible parent you are. So please, please do not blame yourself. A lot of our children, when they get older, it becomes difficult for them for a variety of reasons because they are not able to communicate often, or at least they're not able to communicate enough. And so they get frustrated. And when they get frustrated, they become aggressive and it becomes very, very difficult to manage them. A lot of our children, if they are not learning appropriately, maybe because they have sensory overload or they have other types of issues like not being able to sleep or having allergies or having problems with environmental triggers, whatever it is, they just don't get to the point where life is tolerable for them. And placement is often a much better solution than trying to keep them in home. And I'll try to explain why. The decision you're making is not a decision out of failure. It's a very, sometimes making a decision that's hard ends up having results that are very positive. And I want to talk about that. A lot of the current placements are absolutely fantastic. It is not, we're not talking about the 70s where placements were terrible. A lot of placements nowadays are amazing. There is really good therapy happening at these placements. There's very good ABA. The location is secure, so the child cannot hurt himself or others. People are trained to manage aggressive behaviors and or children who run away, or children who communicate their frustration through self-injury or through injuring others, that sort of thing. And so you will have better services for your child. And also, it will give back to the quality of life of the family. I hate to say it, it's a very tough thing to think about, but it will give back to your other children, because obviously the entire family will have more time and ability to help the other children, and your own quality of life. I mean, honestly, a lot of times, Shannon, as parents, we forget that we are human beings. We're not just parents. We're parents, of course, but we're human beings as well. And just like you are worrying and sad about your children, well, the child that is you is still inside you as well. And I always want to tell our parents this. Don't forget that you are also a child who grew up. I mean, that's also inside you. You have an obligation also to care for yourself. And as parents, good parents, the best parents, we forget ourselves, because all we want to do is keep our children happy and take care of our children. You are just, there's too much on your plate. That's all. That's all it is. And this is a good decision. Please don't feel bad about it.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that while I have not had to face this decision, I have a bunch of friends who have had to. And if you would like to be connected with them, they have formed this sort of group that they support moms through this. And if you want, write to me.
Absolutely.
S.Penrod at Autism-Live. They tell me that it's the single greatest thing that they did for their children
100%.
to place them, and that things are so much better and that they have a better relationship. And one mom said to me, here's the deal that I missed, is that typical kids, they grow and they get to a point where you send them to somebody else because you can't help them with what they need help with, and then they go out into the life. That's the natural course of things.
That's right.
And that someone fed us a line of that because our kids were not typically developing, that we were going to be in charge of them forever.
That's right.
And that it's just a line of malarkey.
That's right.
So I was
fully
like,
agree.
oh, well, that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. Our typical kids leave home when they're 16, 17 and go off to college.
Yes.
So, it's the same thing. Please don't feel bad.
Yes. Typically, our kids don't go away to college till they're 18 or 19. I know in your house they go away at 15 and 16 because you're all geniuses.
It's pretty
but
much
the
same.
rest of us go later on in life.
So funny.
Just want to make that point. Okay, so a couple of things have come in on YouTube and on Facebook. I want to address some of these really quickly. Okay, so on Facebook, Carol wants to know, if you're outside of the U.S., how can you do the card training and things?
Oh, that's wonderful, Carol. You can access our training on Institute for Behavior Training, IBT, and the website is ibehavioraltraining.com. So if you go on there, you will see pretty much all of our training modules are on there now. Currently, the only portion that obviously is not online is our practicum. So when we train our therapists, they go through the training that's on IBT for therapists. They go through pretty much either the BCAT, Board Certified Autism Technician, or the Institute for Behavior Therapy, the Registered Behavior Technician through IBT, through Institute for Behavior Therapy, and they then they have to do some practicum, and they do like 20 hours of practical work with one of our staff. But you can get the majority of the training online. So that will be very helpful to you, I hope.
Okay. From Northern Ireland, we have a viewer who says, my son, age 16, goes to college 1 day a week with his special school, and he hates it. He hates the course that was chosen by the school, and it's not his interest. He tried it for 8 to 10 weeks, as we agreed, but keeps asking to quit. He's bored, gets distracted, and he isn't keen on the staff. My heart says let him choose, but my head says he should go. What do I do? He's also struggling in school with missing info when distracted, and when he asks questions is either told off for not listening or ignored. Have addressed it with the school, but it keeps happening. What should they do?
A couple of things. So on the first part, I would absolutely say, yes, you should let him choose, but make sure he chooses something else, because sometimes we're worried about our kids just making excuses, I guess. And so just make sure that you do choose something with his interest, obviously. I mean, you know, if we do the things we're interested in, it's rewarding. So definitely help him select something that he is interested in. The second part of it had to do with
the assignments that he's distracted.
He's distracted.
And
so this is really important, and it is like important that they do a series of modifications to help him get through instead of just letting him fail and then yelling at him. So, you know, they need to like put him in the front, help him. Here in the States, they would be, it's called accommodation, and they will take the content and they'll accommodate it. So they'll make it shorter, they'll allow more time for tests, they'll allow visual prompts that aren't given to other kids. So like the teacher would share her own notes with him. You could even request a tutor for him or someone who's going to help him actually understand the material. Make sure he's not sitting in an area like next to a window where he's like distracted or by lights that are bothering him. I mean, here in the US, we would have what's called a resource specialist or someone who is like a BCBA at school, and they would jump in and they would be an autism specialist and they would take care of these types of antecedents. Like they would make sure the environment is not conducive to him being distracted. And you know, it's never helpful to just consequate a behavior. You're supposed to prompt the correct behavior so that you never have to give a negative consequence when a negative behavior doesn't happen. So this is really, you need to stop that, and you need to tell them that they need to be helping him, prompting him, modeling things for him up front so that he's successful, so they can reward him.
Yeah. I kind of want to know if he's doing something that he enjoys doing.
Maybe.
Is he this level of distracted, right?
Right.
I mean, you know, when I think about, there are people I know who spend their lives working with horses.
Yeah.
And that is what they do, and they are brilliant at it, and they love it. And I think about if we were to force them to be in an art class, which is reinforcing for another person, but they would be like, I kind of want to be with the horses, right? And when you take somebody who really wants to be doing art and they're mucking stalls, this is not a good match, right? But then put in other subjects like math.
Exactly.
If I had to do math all day, I wouldn't make it.
Right.
I wouldn't make it.
Absolutely.
I would find a way to like do something else. I couldn't do it. So, you know, at 16, it's a point when we should be able to get to follow our passions.
Of course, 100%.
So I hate that they just assigned him something to that.
Yeah.
But ask me how I really feel. And then if he's doing something he likes, is he that level of distracted? Because that's a different issue, right? But maybe he wouldn't be if it was something he really liked. We see that all the time in ABA. If it's something you like, you're really motivated.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You'll work through all kinds of stuff.
Isn't there a saying that says if you do the work that you enjoy, it's never work?
That's right. Okay, so a new mom has written in on YouTube and says, I have 6-year-old twin girls. One has autism. The twin who doesn't is starting to act out a lot and become jealous of the attention of the other, especially from ABA therapy. Any suggestions for SIBS?
Yes, absolutely. And this is something I experienced from the very first day that I started in this field. The very first child that I ever worked with had a twin who was a typically developing twin. And that brother, the typically developing brother, had started to do all kinds of things to pretend he was autistic. And it's just a matter of trying to get attention. So what is really, really important is that you assign, just like your child who's on the spectrum has their own team and gets a lot of attention, you need to always make sure there's an equal amount of attention on the other twin. And that's really it. So you can do that in a million different ways. You can have, cousins, nephews, nieces, family members volunteer to come and take the other twin out and do fun activities when one twin is getting therapy, the other one goes to the park and has fun activities. You can make sure that someone helps with your affected twin so that you have more time with the sibling. This is very, very important. And you just have to make sure that you are constantly attending to the typically developing twin, and having special activities, like, have special mommy time, special dad time, just special things that make this other twin feel like they are just as important. Of course they are, but sometimes they're, we focus so much on the one that needs our help at the moment that the other child feels left out. Let me tell you, even in typically developing families, this happens, right? I mean, as you know, Shannon, I have 3 children, and I'll say that in a lot of ways, the older child always feels a little bit kind of left out because they were used to at some point getting all of the attention, and then once you start paying attention to the other kids, this is the oldest child phenomenon. So it's the same thing. You just need to make sure that you're giving equal time to the other child.
Absolutely. Okay. So, hang on here.
As you're looking, can I address the?
Yes.
We received one message that I wanted to talk about because it's
Yes.
a family who is at one of the card sites and is not really happy right now. And I mean, it's a long email, and I don't want to go into detail. The family chose not to tell us which site, and I appreciate all of your kind words because I know the family says, I truly love you guys and I believe in card, and I love that. But they're very upset, and I'm trying to listen to some of these. These are, families' comments are just as important to me when they're negative comments, because this is how we get better. And truthfully, I'm first of all, I have to say I'm really sorry, because I want to make sure that all of our sites are truly doing exactly what I speak of and what I say and what's in my heart and what's my mission. And if it's not happening that way, we have to make changes and we have to make improvements. This particular family says that the supervisors are overwhelmed. And I want to say, do you remember the first family who was saying, I'm so happy to get in the door? The truth is, it's always a balancing act for us in regards to this, to trying to help more kids and yet not overwhelm our staff. Having said that, we have about 300 or so BCBAs here, and honestly, 2/3 of them are just not even doing the hours that we schedule for them. So I know that our supervisors have time. The majority of our supervisors have time. We all, as a company, have to be more efficient. We can't come to work. This is not the type of work where you can come to work and take your time.
Yeah.
You need to be on the ball all the time. I mean, you look at your pediatricians, sometimes when you go to see a pediatrician and they're just like running from one child to another. I hate to say it, but we're in a state of emergency when it comes to autism. We have 1,000 children trying to come into the clinics every month. 1,000 children, think about that. And there's no way we have enough supervisors. There's no question about that. But the supervisors have to be efficient. They have to be active. They have to be working with every child all the time. They just don't have time to sit around and do long reports or this, that, or other thing. And some of them adjust really well and others have a really hard time. I want to tell you as a parent that I have dedicated, every year I take one cause that I want to dedicate all of our energies to. This year, 2019, our cause were the employees. I have to tell you that. From the very beginning of the year, I announced that, and we made huge improvements for all of our staff. Any of our BTs will tell you that, any BT who's been here for more than just a year. We gave massive wage increases. We made conditions so much more pleasant in terms of having supervisors around to help, having liaisons to give them training, all of that. The coming year, the year 2020, I want to dedicate all of my time to helping our staff become more just better at their jobs. I mean, I know that our staff work very, very hard, but I want to spend more time with our supervisors so that they can do more but remain really good clinicians. And I want to help our operators, because this family has written a little bit about how we feel like sometimes they want to retaliate against us, which I hate that, because if a parent has a tough time, I want to be very understanding of it, but at the same time, this is all teamwork. And it's about sitting with the families and helping them understand that we're working as a team and we're trying to do the best for your children. If we don't get that message across, if our parents feel that we are retaliating, that's a big problem. And I will dedicate myself this coming year to going around CARD and making sure that we're true to our word and that we are able to help and do everything that I speak of here. So I want to thank you for writing into me Whenever parents write to me, I appreciate everything they write. I know that you sound very frustrated, and I'm very sorry about that. We are working very hard in trying to improve all of our centers, and I will be out there myself, kind of pounding the pavement in 2020 and trying to help everyone do that.
And please know that I want to help her to do that, and that I took on a new role here as the Director of Parent Relations and Orientation. And I work very closely with Cecilia Knight, who's amazing, and she's the Director of Parent Support and Education. And we have a group of fabulous young people that are called Caregiver Support Coordinators. And if you are a card client, you should regularly be getting emails from those people with their contact information. You can reach out to me or to Cecilia Knight or to your Caregiver Support Coordinator, and with anything, any concern that you have, and we make it our job to get answers for you and to be advocates for you getting what. Now, I have to say that we cannot make things happen like I can't convince insurance to give you funding that, like, right? I can't do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But there are all kinds of things that we can help with and help you to support through understanding if this is a typical thing or if this is an extraordinary thing or if you need to take more action. Because sometimes you just don't know. You don't know, like, is this just normal? Is this what everybody else is experiencing? Or is it just me? Was there something that got in the way of this happening? We can help you to cut through all of that. So please feel free. Everybody here at CARD, I just want to make sure everybody knows the mission is always to help you, and whether you're the person on the spectrum or whether you're the parent, or to help you to get to the point where you're getting the services that help you to get to the thing that you want to get to, which is very individual and specific and not the same for everybody. But
Absolutely right.
that's mission one. I mean, that's what everybody here is about. So, please reach out to us if it's not happening the way that you need for it to happen, and we will absolutely be right there trying to make things what they need to be. So there's that. We have so many things to say. And I forgot to say, do you know what today is? It's my husband's birthday.
Oh,
so I forgot to say
happy
birthday. We don't talk enough about the dads here, but I got one of the great ones. I got one of the really great ones, and I'm incredibly grateful. So happy birthday, honey. I love you so.
Happy birthday, Jen. That's so nice.
And I've got a million things here. We've got 13 minutes. Do you think we can get through everything?
We can get through some more.
Okay. So on YouTube, hello, doctor. Thank you for your guidance you always provide when you are on the show. My son is high functioning. He has a little speech and easy to learn. My main concern is his eye contact and that he's hyper.
Okay. Very good. So, both of those things. The eye contact, you got to tell your ABA team to just work on. And it's really important to figure out why he has an issue with eye contact, because a visual perception is super important to all of his future learning. So tell your team, I hope you have a team of ABA people working with him, because when you have a high functioning child who's learning fast, you just want to give them everything so they can make it through all the way. Eye contact is our lesson one. So if he is still having a hard time with eye contact, it's going to slow down his learning in the future, because you will need to have both social eye contact and eye contact to objects. They need to do a whole bunch of different types of tests. You do and they do. The tests that they do will be focused on things like figuring out what is the best area of eye contact or focus for him. So let me explain that. You'll go ahead and get his vision tested, but you'll also go and see a specialist who doesn't just give you the normal visual testing, but they do testing to determine things like focus. Is he able to focus? This is called binocularity, the ability to focus both eyes on one object. If he has the ability to track objects that are moving. This is very important for you to identify, and these can be done through specialists who are optometrists who specialize in these types of visual issues. And that's super important. Depth perception is another one. There's a lot of things like this that we take for granted, and if your child's having an issue with that, he might very well avoid eye contact. On the other hand, eye contact is generally a very hard thing for our children because of the fact that they don't know where exactly on the face. Eyes are just very, very confusing for our children. the eyes move a lot. We don't recognize that because we're so used to it, but eye position and eye shape changes a lot, and it throws our kids off. So there's a lot of little tricks to trying to fix that. This is where your therapists or your ABA team need to focus. For example, one of the things we used to do is we would actually wear a mask that covered the whole face and left only the eyes open, and then you gradually would reduce the size of the mask, so that it ended up being a small mask and then just a box around the eyes, and then you could remove it and the child would now learn where to look, right? But it's also very important that your team identify if your child's having an issue with the distance. Sometimes our children have no problem focusing or looking at your eyes if you're at a certain distance versus too up close where they just can't focus. Sometimes they just have a hard time when it's something, they don't look at an object that is down on the table, but they will look if it's vertical. I mean, you have to play around with it and see where is it that he tracks the best, what position. Sometimes our children focus better when they're looking from the periphery. And so these are all things that are very unique to autism. I would really suggest that you go see a developmental optometrist or ophthalmologist actually first. Get this type of testing done. It'll teach you a lot. They will give you exercises, by the way. These are also very effective exercises that we do. It's kind of like tracking exercises and all that sort of stuff. If you want to do a quick look at skills for autism, there's a whole section on visual motor. And if you go in the motor curriculum under visual, you'll find some pretty interesting clues.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you. I want to do quickly this. This grandma wrote in and said, "Hi, I'm a grandma that takes care of my autistic grandson who is sensory processing nonverbal. I can have him from Thursday through Saturday, and I'm trying to get respite. I'm having a hard time getting it. I live in Madera County, California." And I just wanted to really quickly address that one. That if you are in the state of California, I really want to make sure that people understand you have to first be a regional center client, then you have to apply for IHSS. And when you apply for IHSS, then you'll get respite from the regional center and you'll get respite from IHSS. Then you will also have the potential to get paid for the time that you are with the child. Not kidding, it's not a fake thing. We have families that get up to $4,000 a month for taking care of a single child if the needs are that great. The state of California recognizes that somebody has to be taking care of that child, and it actually saves them money if they stay with a caretaker that is known to them. So please, if you are unclear about that, reach out to me.
Perfect.
We have some people that we can have you reach out to, but that's in the state of California. I apologize for people who don't have that in the state that they're in. But if you are in the state of California, please, I didn't know about this, and it's a lifesaver for a lot of families. Okay, next. Hi, I have a 3-year-old kid. He has brain damage. My problem is he kicks a lot with his legs. He kicks me very hard and everything, walls. How will I control him?
Oh my gosh. Air hug to you as well. That's a tough one. So like every other behavior I've always spoken about here, you have to identify the function of the behavior. It isn't the act of kicking that he enjoys. It is what he gets out of kicking that he enjoys. It could be that he is reinforced by kicking you because of your reaction. It could be that he is reinforced because whenever he kicks you, you leave him alone. And it could be that he's reinforced because when he kicks you, you give him something that he's trying to gain. So it's always one of those things. He's trying to get something, avoid something, or just get your attention, which is, again, get something, right? So figure that out first. When does he kick you? Why does he kick you? If he's trying to avoid a situation when he kicks you, like let's say you say, let's go to dinner, and he'll kick you. Enough of that, and he'll kick you. If he's trying to avoid something, then you want to make sure he doesn't avoid it. That's really hard to say. I apologize, but you will have to block. He's only 3 years old right now. Let's take care of this before he becomes 4 and 5 and 6, right? You don't want him kicking when he's older. So if he kicks you, you just keep motoring him through the thing that you asked him to do. okay? Do not let him avoid the thing that you asked him to do. If he is kicking you because he wants attention, make sure you withdraw your attention. When he kicks you, leave him, right? You do not want attention, but make sure that's the thing, because sometimes our kids kick because they want you to leave, right? So they want to avoid you placing a demand on them. This is why it's so important to identify the function. When you identify the function, essentially what you have to do is you have to do the opposite of what it is he's getting out of it, because you now try to explain to him his kicking is communication. It's equal to him communicating to you. He's trying to say something. He's trying to say, leave me alone. He's trying to say, give me more of that. He's trying to say, why aren't you paying attention? I'm bored. Whatever it is he's saying, make sure it is ineffective communication. So if he kicks you and he's trying to say, give me more of that, do not give him more of that, because you want to give him the message that kicking is ineffective. Kicking is not going to work as a mode of communication. Instead, you want to make sure you give him the appropriate mode of communication, right? So if you know he's kicking because he wants a food item, when he kicks, don't give it to him, but prompt him to give you a card that says the food item. Prompt him to say the name of the food item if he can. Prompt him to do it the right way, okay? If he's trying to kick you because he wants to get out of a situation, don't let him out of the situation unless he says, I want a break, I want time out, I want to go outside for a minute. It all has to be replaced with appropriate communication. Now, I know saying it sounds very easy. It's a little bit harder than I said. I would suggest, if you can, if you have access to a board-certified behavior analyst or someone who knows ABA, have them come and help you identify the function. That's one way to go. Another thing you can do is just go on skills. There's a section in skills. Skills, of course, the website is Skills for Autism. There's a section on there called the CFA. It's called an Indirect Functional Assessment. CFA, C stands for card, Indirect Functional Assessment. And you go in there and you answer questions, and the questions that you answer will help you produce what's called a behavior intervention plan, a BIP. And then that will help you identify exactly how you deal with this kicking. That is the best way to go.
Okay, wonderful. Also want to say to Chris, who wrote it in and said that she loves us, and happy turkey to you. We love you back. Okay, what is an appropriate toy for my almost 4-year-old grandson? He doesn't like loud noise, and he's just learning a few words. He seems to be in his own little world. I have only noticed that he likes to stack things. Like he will stack books instead of looking at the pictures. I have a recommendation.
Of course you do.
Because I'm like, toy maven here. For an almost 4-year-old that likes to stack things, I would go and get a big bucket of Duplos, which are the precursor to Legos. And I would also get some Duplos that they have some now that have like animal faces and bodies, so that he can put them together in different ways. We've featured them before in the toy guide. I would do that, but because he likes to be alone, I would start stacking with him and have races to see who can stack faster, and then have it be fun to crash them.
That's so nice, yeah.
That's what I would do.
Absolutely.
Because then he will start to play with you, and you crash yours, and he crashes his, and then you crash each other.
Yeah, turn it into imaginative play, right?
Yeah. So anything on your list?
No, I mean, that's a great toy. Any kind of, there's nothing wrong with stacking them, but make sure that he doesn't narrow his interest to just that one thing.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like make sure he's playing other things. And it's very important that if a child is interested in something like that, they do interact with others. So taking turns, like playing with other kids, doing this type of thing is important.
Okay. 2 minutes, last question. Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. G. You are on my grateful list.
Aw.
Love when you are on live. How can I help my teen who chews on his shirt cuff?
Right.
He doesn't chew on anything else, just the shirt cuff. He wears a flannel shirt all year, even in the summer. I tell him no shirt. He has a meltdown, and the whole day is horrible. I don't give in, but some days I can't do it.
Yeah.
Isn't there another way?
Well, what I would do right off the bat is I would take an old shirt and I would cut off the cuff and I would give that to him. Okay. And let him chew that. He doesn't have to chew the ones that is on his body.
Okay.
So now you can wear short sleeves or do whatever else because he has his little cuff to chew on. Now I would gradually reduce the size of the cuff, and but just cutting it. but I would leave it to the point where it's still effective, right, for him. And then I would try to replace it over time with something more functional or easy, like something that he could chew. Like a lot of our kids who are chewers, we just teach them how to chew gum, to be honest. Other things you can do are just like reduce it to certain times of the day that he's allowed to chew on this item. Other things you could do is he could chew on it, but he can chew it in private. So he can put it in his pocket, take it out when he needs to chew on something, all that sort of stuff. So in other words, clearly he has some need for either pressure or chewing, and either you can replace it with something else or you can do it in a way that's not like taking away from other activities. And also just remember, like the first step is, because you're having an issue with him like wearing a flannel shirt all the time, just give him another cuff. Like he will wear other stuff now, and at least he has his chewy cuff.
You're so brilliant. That would never have occurred to me in a million years. Would it have you? So we are out of time. I want to say thank you to you, first of all, for everything.
It's my pleasure, and thank
taking
you.
this time with us, and happy Thanksgiving. We want to let you know that we're going to be taking off a few days here, but the show won't. Because Traven is brilliant, there will be a show playing tomorrow and a show on Friday. Tomorrow, because it's Thanksgiving, you're going to be treated to a whole day of Temple Grandin.
Oh, nice.
So tune in to watch that. And then on Friday, Traven's got a very special show of all the different times that we've gone to toy stores because it's Black Friday, to show you all the different ways. And so you'll see some really wonderful guests. 2 of your 3 children are featured on some of them. My husband is featured on some of them. Emily Goodwin is on some of them. Nancy Allspot Jackson is on some of them. So you will get to see every toy that we think is worthwhile over the past 7 years in toy stores. So that will be on Friday. And I do want to point out that Saturday is Small Business Day. It is a great day to visit your local small business toy store, Astra store, and buy toys there on Saturday. That promotes your local economy. And check out our toy guide while you're Black Friday shopping. We will be back on Monday. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.